It's not quite there yet. I just want to make sure it gets there before I stop looking at this.
Thank you for figuring it out.
Yeah.
Appreciate
I'm
that.
grateful too because it cuts out a whole step.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I remember I have to silence it on this screen, I think.
Oh yeah, because it does the feedback thing.
There we go. Okay. Now I think we're set. Okay. So, how does about an hour feel to you?
I'm gonna say 45 minutes if that's okay. I'm not.
Yeah.
I still need to like eat, and today's hasn't been a good day.
Okay.
If that works for you.
Yeah. And I mean, I also could postpone 15, 20 minutes if that feels better for you.
No,
Okay. Okay.
I've got limited bandwidth today. Thank you though.
Okay. I hear the limited bandwidth. So cool. Um, do you want to, would you like me to start with a check-in or would you like to start?
Um, huh. I guess you could start if you want. How you feeling?
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, I am feeling um, like it is a little bit of an ongoing discussion in my system to be like, are you going to go back to bed soon? Like, you going to go back and lay down? And it's, yeah, I'm definitely in that space where I'm like, what really is best? I don't know. Um, there's been a lot of drama in the past handful of days that my system feels like came out of nowhere, but I know it never comes out of nowhere. And there's also been I when I woke up this morning, I recognized that I actually felt more resourced and myself than I felt in a really long time. But it's a shade. It's like 5%. But I'm really trying to look for those places where I can celebrate. Um, and yeah, it was my first opportunity to see some people outside of my very close knit circle, um, and I giggled a lot, but also just was utterly exhausted by the whole adventure. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at.
Did you say that was today or yesterday that you saw people?
Yesterday
Yesterday. Okay.
and the day before, actually. Yeah, we had Molly and Craig over on Saturday and went to a backyard concert that we found out about through Shayne um, last night. And it was partly rainy and stormy and partly not. And so, yeah.
Aw.
Mm. I feel
Mm.
complete.
Oh. Yeah, it sounds like it's nice to get those in-person things again.
Just a
And
little bit, though. Just a little bit. I only want a little bit.
it sounds like it was a lot in the system. You're
Yeah.
like, and I'm exhausted. Okay, goodbye. But then you got to say goodbye, and that takes a while. Oh.
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, I'm feeling like it's a bit of a slower pace for you today. And I like what you said of it, like trying to listen to your body. Okay, are we gonna rest yet? Like I resonate with that a lot. Mm. It sounds like self-care though. Mm. Yeah. Okay. Should I check in?
Yes, please.
Cool. I want to make sure this is plugged in. It's not. Let me do the housekeeping real quick. Um, just to make sure. Is it charging? It's not charging. One of these days I'll figure this shit out. One of these fucking days. Why aren't you charging? You're not plugged in, that's why. Yeah, I think you said something similar of like, I don't know.
Yeah.
And that has been my whole fucking day today to the point where I've already cried a bit. I had that hopeless feeling of just like, I don't want to do this anymore is coming up. I had two Chinese medicine sessions this past weekend at the Oregon School of Oriental Medicine downtown that does free sessions once a month, by the way. So you can get a full assessment, even though you're kind of like the guinea pig, and there's students and stuff like that that'll hear every single thing that you have. So that was interesting, but my current acupuncturist goes to that school. So I was like, cool. I think the more the merrier, because I feel like doctors miss things or dismiss me, and I've been getting really angry and upset about that recently and feeling like I don't know who to trust or what to trust. On one hand, like my some of my family is very like, they'll chase me out if I get the vaccine, or they'll chase me out if I don't get the vaccine. So I've got two very extremes from both sides of my family, and it feels like an ugly middle ground that I've been playing for some time, which sucks. I feel left out with people, getting together in person, but, I'm in the queue for that, and it's like I still have to wait. I don't know. I just feel like I hate things today. I hate myself. I hate people. I feel hopeless. It feels really, really hard just to like stay on track. Like even this morning, just it's heavy. Trying to not like go on the phone in the morning and how addictive it is for me of like not having like even just some basic pleasure, like a partner, like a fucking partner, or like close friends where I feel like I could be 100% myself with, like in person, or not having touch and not feeling safe around like anybody, including myself, and thinking I'm taking too many vitamins, wondering if I'm doing the right diet, thinking my doctor isn't like hearing me all the way, and I'm scared everything's just gonna get worse. So that's where I'm at today. And I'm trying to turn the mind and do what I need to do. And I just want to like lay on the floor and cry and give up and just stop living. Yeah. And I also think my therapist, I'm gonna have to find somebody else because it's like I don't find it helpful when a therapist is like, yes, I appreciate somebody validating where my shit came from. Like my mother was not the best mother, but neither is anybody. And I want to let go of that hate and resentment. And it's so fucking strong that I yelled at her on the phone and hung up yesterday. And I feel like a goddamn 2-year old. And there's a lot of shame around that. It's like I want to let go of resentment and stop feeling so afraid of the world and like nothing is safe. And it's like I feel like I'm just manifesting that. And then when I feel all of this, my stomach starts to hurt and I get headaches. And yeah, it feels like a sinkhole. So that's where I'm at today.
Thank you for choosing to be here with me for a little bit.
Thanks for listening.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I still didn't get our artwork out.
It's
I
okay.
still haven't finished my taxes. uh, there's a lot.
It's a lot. Yeah, a lot. Are you interested in hearing some of the themes that I've been collecting from the folks I've talked to recently.
Sure. Yeah, I'll hear it. Thank you.
So it's kind of a continuation of what we've been, a lot of things we've been talking about over the past few weeks. Um, a lot of, I had another woman look me right in the eye today and say, I've seriously not wanted to be here. I'm struggling to want to live today, lately, off and on. And she was very on top of it to say, I wish there was more nuance in the English language because um, because she also kind of felt a need to rush to, don't worry, I'm not going to hurt myself,
Yeah.
but she recognized there's a limitation to how much the words that we all seem to know right now, or the way of talking about it. So it brought back that theme again that I know we talked about last week of like, oh my God, we need to, there's so many of us right now who are just absolutely struggling. And I felt a big celebration because one of the women that I've been in connection with over the past few months, and who has been one of these people that I've been thinking of, said, posted that she's like, it wasn't a breakdown, it was a breakthrough. I just realized it was a breakthrough. And maybe for some of us, it really is a fucking breakdown. And for some of us, it really is a breakthrough. And I that that did sort of help me shift towards, perhaps I have been orienting towards breakdown, is what I've been perceiving my experience. But it feels like in the past couple of days, it's shifted to orient at least slightly more towards a breakthrough. Um, and it really did feel extraordinarily validating when both Shayne and Azaria um, really seem to have a clear understanding of what we're doing, even just based on the little bit that we've shared so far. And so the wise ones, the ones who have been tuned in, the ones who have kind of maybe walked alongside us at some path, they already are seeing what we're building.
Mm.
And that felt like really good and really exciting. And they want in somehow. They're like, can we be on there too? Can we talk about this? Can we talk? Um, so kind of one of the ideas we've had is inviting our friends to come have conversations with us in this space, and they're asking to, yes, please, can we do that soon? So that felt really, really, really good. And they also were saying some of the same stuff that we've been experiencing, where I was like, I can't do anything in the mornings. I can't be anywhere, do much of anything before noon. And they're like, yep, same. And the forcing myself to fucking do it is what feels like self-harm. So I'm I really have cleared my schedule a lot in the past week, even more.
Cool.
Um, yeah.
Yeah, I just noticed more like the words in my head are just like, I have cleared my schedule. I can barely do an hour of work a day.
Mm,
And I notice I am distracting myself and I'm not like doing things that I know I need to for myself.
yeah.
And that feels like such a failure.
Mm,
Like here I am failing again, hurting myself again. Like, how many breakdowns am I gonna go through until I just break? Like, yeah.
mm,
And also not wanting it to be like blaming. Like, I just hear the old voices of like, well, it's because of borderline. Like, my therapist did mentions like, there's a reason for things. I'm like, and what the fuck do I do about them?
mm,
Like, another idea would be a segment, but like, and it would, I would call it like, okay, but how? All right, how
mm.
the fuck are we supposed to do this?
Yeah.
I actually had a really good chat. figuring out podcast stuff. So
Mhm.
I'm I'm like, if you want to do more of the YouTube end because you understand it,
Mhm.
I can do more of the audio
Divide
podcast
and
end.
conquer, I think, is really the way to go.
Yeah.
If we can just get you to a place where you feel at least confident enough that you're able to just throw your stuff up there, that's something I'm not able to do. But once it's on there, I can play with it, you know,
Yeah.
keep it as simple as possible. And each of us kind of orienting towards what we find most interesting and exciting. Um, because I'd like to minimize as much as possible spending either of us spending time doing stuff that feels crunchy or yucky. Um,
Yeah.
and just, so yeah, let's always orient towards how can it be as simple and efficient and easeful as possible, you know.
Yeah. I like that for sure.
Yeah.
Mm.
And honestly, speaking of like kind of timeline, like, oh, you mentioned, oh, I didn't do the art yet or whatever. Like, please remove time pressure. If you ever feel like pressure coming from me, please call me on it so that I can check in, because sometimes it's actually just my excitement and like, oh, this is gonna be so cool.
I know a big thing I don't feel pressure, but I don't want to let you down.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
I want to actually keep up, and I know like when you get on something, it's like, yes, you got it. Like I understand sometimes how hard it can be to get there.
Yeah. Yeah. And I really feel strongly, like I have been hearing more and more that some of the teachers, I've really up leveled the teachers I'm paying attention to lately. For one thing, a lot of them are fairly new to me, but I can tell like these are like real up leveled. And one of the things I'm learning a lot about is genuinely how to move in the business world with feminine energy, healthy
Mm,
feminine energy, rather than the toxic, you know, perverted, not perverted, that's the wrong word, but like fucked up masculine energy. And honestly, a lot of fucked up feminine energy is really, it's just, I haven't had the opportunity to witness and experience kind of a healthy approach to business from a feminine space. And that's where I've been dedicating a lot of my attention lately. And one of the things I keep hearing,
yes.
one of the things
Mm,
I keep hearing is, I've been saying all along, like Piper used to pressure me kind of like, why aren't you getting offers out? Why aren't you doing, and I'm like, I don't want to attract from the energy I'm in right now, because the energy I'm feeling right now is is real. and I
yeah.
and I do want to help people who are in that space, but I don't want to attract my clients while they're still in that space. And so this much slower pace that I've been having throughout the year, now I'm looking back and I'm like, okay, fuck yeah. So you're doing it too. You're doing it really, really well. You're keeping track of yourself and your process as you go along, and you're sharing it, but you're not um you're basically, what I see what we've both been doing is like essentially building our library of how we ourselves as individuals rolled through this, right?
Mm,
And so we're not saying, hey, I'm going to teach you how, or I'm, do what I do. We're just saying, this is what I did. And what I see happening kind of on a larger scale is like, I genuinely can't engage with a lot of humans right now. Like, I just really genuinely can't. So, how can I still be of service? Exactly what we're doing. Like, you're in your room and I'm in my room, and we're still engaging at a level that, feels like it works for us. And then we're going to turn around and be like, hey, anyone else interested in how we're figuring this out? You're welcome to take a look. But I don't have to talk to you. Like, I could still have my own space and my own, I'm not going to be buffeted by other people's energy and other people's trauma and other people's like misperceptions. I'm just like, this is what I'm doing. If you're interested, here you go. I'm going to go back
mm,
over here and go rest now. you know?
yeah.
So, and we have the opportunity to keep doing things along those lines. And if I have an idea of like, say, oh, can I have Azaria and Shayne on the art of processing? And you're like, I love that idea, and I don't think I'm available to join you because I just don't have the bandwidth, or please wait for me. I want to be there.
Mm,
Those are the kind of conversations I want to have. Um, so that I have the ability to like think big and include you wherever you want to be included, but you also don't feel like you have to do everything that I'm thinking about doing.
mm,
Does that make sense?
totally. I appreciate you sharing that too. Oh, I feel a difference in your energy just
Mhm.
you from sharing that as well. It just feels more like,
Yeah.
yeah, I love that coming from a place of all that you said of like healthy feminine energy for
Mhm.
in business,
Mhm.
like and honoring that because I feel like you and I both have been trying to do the dominantly maybe unhealthy masculine
It's a
or
tough
unhealthy feminine side, and it's like our bodies are yelling at us and saying no, and that's why it's struggling, and that's why we like feel tortured. And
Mhm.
yeah, I love that idea, and also I really want to be on that call. I'm like, oh my God, so that feels exciting, and I'm noticing it's helping me get out of like it always feels like a funk. And I don't really want to identify it that way too. I'm like, something legitimate is happening when I get into these downward spirals, and I'm trying to play with it differently, for sure.
Like a fever. Because like when a fever breaks and you kind of just suddenly go, wow, I feel better. You know what I mean? So
No.
no.
I
So
think I'm usually too in my head and I think I'm dying.
oh, okay.
So that's where it's like
Something. Yeah.
some of these things I feel so alien, and maybe that's my frustration today too. Like especially hearing stuff from self-help stuff or whatever. It's just like, well, if you have like, if you don't have a mental illness, then this will work for you. And I'm like, and then I block it off instead of trying it. I end up feeling worse than I am, or talking myself down, or focusing on struggles and that
Mhm.
kind of stuff, and it's challenging.
And something that I just want to come to real quick.
Mm.
You just briefly mentioned like if you don't have a mental illness, then this might work for you. So what I think I heard you like referring to is the disclaimer we see all the time on fucking everything that like don't do
Yes.
this if you have a diagnosed mental disorder or you're pregnant or heart disease, right? Like that kind of disclaimer. Um and yeah, I find that so because the unfortunate thing is that frequently those things are genuinely beneficial for anyone, and they're just covering their fucking asses by saying, well, if you have any of these conditions, don't do this because I don't want you coming back on me and saying that it was my fault.
Mm.
So I think that front end fear of like litigation essentially has caused a lot of fucking damage.
And as somebody with a diagnosed mental illness, I definitely also recognize like with catastrophic thinking, and
Mm-hmm.
also with like I blame myself or sometimes I blame others. When it goes to those extremes, then it's like, oh, I can totally see how like I try to keep myself in check. I have more of a fear of being rejected that kind of like guides me along. So I try to keep myself more poised. But typically it's definitely like I still want somebody to show me the way, and I told them, I'm like, that's not how it works. Fuck. um but I think a lot of people do feel that, so I think it is something like, hey, if you do have a mental illness, work alongside a therapist with this. Don't do this alone because it may trigger some stuff. Like I like that kind of
That
forewarning and stuff like that. Like I think everybody should be allowed. And yeah, it was like it reminds me of Solsara. Going into Solsara, I'm just like, I wish they had more skills. And I totally went into it with my diagnosis, like getting benefit out of it, but also having a traumatic experience, getting really sick with it. So it's hard. It's really challenging to navigate. Yeah, I feel like that in a way, there's a little bit of societal being like, no, you're broken. You're always going to be broken. Take a pill. And then there's the other side of like, no, I don't believe that. No, I want to do everything in my power to not do that. I want to do everything I can to go on the other side. Yeah, this has just been a lot of my own internal stuff. So thank you for letting me share. Yeah, it's like teetering on an edge.
Mhm.
Mm,
Kind of back to the idea of, what I'd love for Shayne and Azaria and you and I, probably only those people to start,
yeah.
would be to just us. engage in a like authentic relating kind of circle and just
Yes.
start to model like what could it look like, and then um and that be something that we post, right? And so people get to witness what it looks like when four people are fully engaged in the experience and who know how to engage in that way can just model what it looks like.
That feels juicy.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. I feel the excitement on the outskirts of just like, yes, how do we plan this? Where the
Mhm.
fuck am I gonna get internet? Shit.
Uh, and another thing, let's put a pin in this. Please come back to this when or if this feels interesting. Um, Brian is doing a lot of research on ivermectin, which is an alternative to the vaccine, and um, I think it might at least be worth looking at based on what I have recently also listened to.
Huh. What's it
But
called?
it's called ivermectin.
Ivermectin.
I will tell you, it's quite hard to find information about it because it's being suppressed.
Yep.
And honestly, me having said these words and putting it on YouTube, there's a chance that our video will get.
We
Yeah.
might have to bleep it out and be like, sorry, we can't talk about this. This is
Um,
being censored.
but yeah, put a pin in that. And if that is something you're interested in, I do have resources that both he and I trust as actually worthy of spending time and effort on if you want. Um, that's the direction he's choosing to go.
Cool. I like it.
Mhm.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah. Thank you.
you're welcome. Um, and this week I'm heading up to my mom's. I'm planning on going up Wednesday through Saturday. So I'll want to do something different. I know we normally have Saturday afternoons. I
Yeah.
want to do something different this week. And we don't have to decide right now. Maybe you can kind of feel into if it feels like you want to take a break from additional conversation, like, this week, or like scheduled
Mm,
time, or if you want to switch to Marco Polo, or you want to pick a time. I'm totally open. I'm just saying Saturday doesn't work.
that's perfect. I'm moving out, so
Mm,
I think that's gonna take up most of my energy.
okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Mhm.
That works perfectly, but let's do Marco Polo.
Okay.
Um, yes, I want to stay updated with you. Mm.
Cool. Yeah, it does it gets. I feel. Yeah, I feel like when we don't get to talk for at least once a week, then I'm like, there's a lot that's happened, and I feel.
I know 5 years have passed
Yeah.
and I've climbed a mountain and then I fall down a crevasse and
Yeah.
now my leg is broken and I have to chew my own sinew and leg climb out with my nails. I don't know. And then you're suddenly flying to another planet and we're like, what happened? I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
I missed season 2 and 3. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. I love
Oh,
it.
I love that. Oh, yeah, and I'm so glad you talked to Shayne and Azaria. Like,
Mhm.
and they're interested. Yes, let's spread it like the
It
a good
feels like I
virus.
think you and I probably talked about it when I had the idea the first time around, but I don't know for sure. But I did. It was around this time last year that I was calling people. Azaria and Shayne were two of them. They're like, "Look, we're gonna do a women's circle," and they're like, "Yeah, I'm in." And then it, I really thought it was soon. I thought we were doing it soon. No, we're doing it. We're doing it soon now. Now.
Soon is relative.
Soon
Time is
is relative.
relative. Ugh,
Yeah.
it's the silliness of it. Totally.
Yeah.
Oh, and this works great too. Actually I'm able to sign up for authentic relating
Mhm.
uh like life course, I think it is.
I don't know what you're talking about.
It's by Authentic Revolution. I'll have to send you the info on it. But yeah, I got a scholarship for it because I just
Oh.
decided why not? Let me try. And I'm gonna have to figure out how to make it work with my internet.
Mhm.
And that there's a lot of frightening stuff. There's a
Mhm.
lot of things that feel like it just almost feels very daunting of figuring out like internet and how to keep things refrigerated without having to buy ice every 2 days. Like this kind of stuff, and also the benefits of being in the woods and waking up in nature and being away from the internet, I think would actually be very helpful for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think I've got some workarounds. Like there's the library in town.
Mhm.
I can get Wi-Fi there. I want to be able to try to get it so that Zoom can run off of my data.
Ah,
If not, I'm going to look into a mobile hotspot. So working on those things. Yeah. So we might have a little finickiness, but we can figure it out. So
yeah. And when, yeah, I know that might it'll probably be a while. I'm sure there'll be a transition phase, but at some point when you feel like you actually want to come in, my way, then
yeah,
here. So that's definitely on the table when you feel that it works for you.
thank you. Love that. Yes. We do in-person stuff and
Yes.
I know how to set up the mics and all that stuff, so.
Yes. Oh my God. I'm so excited to hear more when you're ready. And it's, it's, yeah, I really feel the timeline is divine. And, as long as we just keep following and just making the best choice we can in each moment, like it's really,
Mm.
it's okay. It's good, you know, it really,
Yeah. Ooh, can I request something?
yeah, yeah.
Okay, because I'm feeling it coming up. I'm like, what do I need? Because I'm just like, oh, I need somebody to like,
Mhm.
oh, let's see, I don't know. I'm wanting something. What do I want? I'm wanting some guidance or some uplifting words or some encouragement because I feel like the predominant thoughts in my head are the negative ones and they've gotten the loudest as of today. Yeah, would you be able to provide some, even if it's something that you want to hear yourself? Or like maybe that would be helpful as well. And I'm gonna write some down. So
And is it, do you feel, I know sometimes it just doesn't feel like, I know there are times when I don't feel open. Do you feel open to receiving specific examples from things I've witnessed of you, or do you want more general?
yes, please. I would love specifics because my memory, it's like I know I have videos of this stuff and they need organizing and then there's judgment and I'm like, ah. So that would
Okay.
be very helpful.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank
Well,
you.
I'd like to tell you a bit about my experience of you then recently. So
Ah, yes. Okay.
I know that we haven't talked much in the past week, and our last call was a little shorter than usual, and so it's been less in the past couple of weeks. And so my Corinne, bites have been when I happen to see you pop up on one of the platforms, right? And I'm almost always in a hurry. It feels like that's something to be aware of. But what'll happen is I'll see, often you're at the top, which I find interesting too. It's just a little algorithm point, but I'll open it and there will be your face. And like the last one was you in the trees. And I think I commented like the light from within and the light all around. Like I really was sitting there just going, wow, like I see you. I just
Mm,
truly see you. And I really, the way you've been writing lately, I genuinely, I really hear your voice. I hear you speaking it like as if you're right here, you know?
oh,
And, and that's even before I get to the fucking content. Like that's just me seeing what you've offered, right? And then I get a little, so usually that's when you get maybe just I just hearted it and I didn't like say anything or whatever. That's just because all I do is like see you. And then I come back when I can come back. And then I'm like, okay, now I'm gonna hear what you have to say. So last night I was sitting outside having a little smoke, freezing my fucking ass off, but I didn't want to stop watching your video. And I was like, it's short. I mean, but still I was freezing. And I gotta respond. And what do I say? And oh my God, it's so good. Like really, that's what we experienced. It's so good. I'm so fucking excited.
oh.
And then when I had that awareness, like, oh my God, you're so smart. Like you're just gonna go bink, cut, bink, paste, and there, your writing is done. And the like you don't even have to have a description, honestly. Like that's not a requirement. But if you've written a beautiful piece that goes with the video, then fuck yeah, put it in there, And then I get to go to
Oh.
Instagram and then I get to see it's the same thing. I don't care, but I'm just like, oh, that's a pretty Corinne, and oh, it's your smile. And then the actual content that you're actually speaking about is every time is so on point with every conversation I've been having with others, and that the feelings that I've been feeling, and I feel, I don't know, like I don't know if you're channeling like the collective, or I don't know what you're doing, but it's fucking working.
Oh.
Yeah.
Mm.
So when you're, whatever intuition you're following, when it, and I hope what I'm seeing doesn't feel hard for you. I hope that it's coming with some ease. Like I don't know what the process feels like to you, but um it's what was I trying to say? Whatever inspiration you've been following, it feels on the receiving end like a good one.
Mm.
Like one that's in, that's that an inspiration that really, that does have your highest good in mind, you know. And and I really invite, I don't know if you're, I know you said it's hard sometimes to sit with yourself. Maybe go sit with some of those videos where you're actually like really being, you know, your bright shiny version of yourself, because that's true also,
Mm.
you know.
Mm.
There's all the pieces of Corinne.
Ah.
And some of them
Aw.
are harder to be with for you than others, but they all are you.
Mm. Thank you.
You're welcome.
It's like there's a little voice in the back of my head, like, see, told you, go watch the old videos.
Yes,
Like,
exactly. That's a smart voice. Because the
uh,
other thing you might start, you'll feel like, especially if you're able, if you, maybe if you come to one of the ones that feel really cringy, that you're like, God, I don't know if I might kind of hate myself in this video.
mm,
Like I might hate looking at myself, you know. Those are the ones that I really, I do take a few moments to prepare, and I do
mm,
like put myself into a circle, you know, as if I imagine that I'm in a Solsara circle or a women's circle, like whatever. It's usually a Soma space, honestly, because I feel like that's kind of my home, you know.
mm,
Um, and I sit with that woman and I listen to her in the same way I would in a women's circle. And yes, sometimes I remember that that woman I'm listening to and watching is me, and sometimes I don't. And some, you know, and both are valid experiences, but mostly I just try to sit with her as if I'm sitting in a circle and just listening, just actively listening.
mm. Thank you for that reminder.
Yeah.
You have shared that one before, and I like that.
I tap a lot too, actually. I think
Yeah.
tapping is another good.
It's it's like I'm recognizing the patterns of, okay, I still need to move. I'm not used to moving. I'm used to just avoiding and going back into my head, and those urges are very strong, because they've been quote unquote effective, even though they're not healthy. Um, yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. And our,
Mm,
one of the other themes you and I talked about last week was, you know, this awareness of we don't really want the wide swing, the opposite, but we want different. And so I've really taken that piece to my heart, like really, you know, oh, Corinne is totally right. Okay, it's not the opposite that I want. That was what I wanted it back in the day when I used that as a tool. That was
yeah,
what I felt was best. Now I genuinely want somewhere in the shade in between, like, um,
yeah.
so orienting towards different. And then there was another piece that you brought to the table. Um, that was really, really important. I really wanted to say it. What was it? Maybe it'll come back. Shoot, I distracted myself with a different thought.
That's
Um,
okay.
yeah, I know, but it felt like it was important and
I feel that you're just like, no, get back here. And then the more you try, the more it runs away. And you're like, it's like a
tiny.
squirrel. You're like, I want to pet you. And you're like, no.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, maybe it'll come back, but um, was it about the women's circle? So you're like sitting with yourself, you're tapping, feeling compassion and openness. I don't know. It's slipped away. But Yeah, the mirror work is essentially what we're doing when when we're watching videos of ourselves, you know, but we're doing mirror work in a way that has never been available before. And
Yeah.
I'm finding that I really don't, I genuinely don't recognize myself. And so like when I watch current videos of myself, I'm like, wow, who's that beautiful woman?
Mm,
Who seems like really well spoken and smart and, you know, resourced, and then I go watch old videos of myself, and often it's difficult, and I'm like, wow, she's actually pretty fucking smart too. And you know, I know that she wasn't very resourced, but she still managed to get some cool shit done. And I could see, I don't know, like, yeah, I don't, it's quite an experience. Like, I really encourage you to meet that uncomfortable edge.
I think that's such a great tool. That is a huge, it's like hitting me. I'm like, fuck, that's a huge tool. Thank you, Heather. Oh my God. Like how we can be that mirror for ourselves, how we can actually see ourselves going through the process, going through like whatever it is, and to go back and give that part of ourselves compassion. Um,
Support.
and then also having the videos of like, hey, I did pretty good. Like, I actually have one. I'll I want to upload it. It's I haven't been smoking weed, and then I got high the other night, and I was up at the farm, up in the hills, and there's a garden where I'm at, and it's a very organized and tidy garden, and it's quite funny because I'm just like, oh my God, look at the babies. I just like, these are babies you can eat. What the fuck? Like, I'm gonna eat the babies. Oh, they're crunchy. Like, and I'm like, this is fucked up. And I look like a babushka,
Yeah.
but like a hippie Portland babushka because it was cold, like you were saying, and I forgot to actually wear layers. And so I had like a scarf wrapped around my head and a pink kimono and like all my layers, like 3 skirts and a dress and something like that.
Awesome. That sounds
You know
awesome.
what? I think it's so important, like if we can record ourselves even for just a minute. I think when we could do even short stuff, it's just these little reminders. Like, oh, and I love
Coaching
here.
yourself, coaching
Yeah.
yourself through it is one of the themes that I wanted to try to remember to say.
Oh, yes. Thank you. Yes. Oh, mm,
Mhm.
I love it. The like what the work that you've done with it, and to see the changes over the years, or like your own experience looking at yourself from years ago and remembering that it can be hard, and like really appreciating your experience with intense emotion and like being overworked and hitting your wall day after day, or like I do appreciate that there's some similarity in a sense of just feeling it like overly intense. It's just like um, and then still being able to work through it and come in. There's always a silver lining, or there's always some sunshine on the other side. So thank you. That was super helpful.
Yay, thank you for asking. Yeah, a chance to go, oh my God, this is how I think you're awesome. And I think you're awesome because of this. And then,
I so needed that. Thank you. Oh, I'm totally gonna sell this chair because it's squeaky. Uh, I heard that in the video. I started watching it. I'm like, oh my God, I'm like complaining, and I said vitamins 3 times, and what am I doing? Uh,
yeah, it, you know, and did it make sense what I was saying about like right now, really what on the channel, like if it really doesn't matter if people watch any of our stuff right now. Like it really is about getting it up on the channel and
yeah.
getting the algorithm to start to pay attention. And then when people do happen to show up at the channel, they already see a whole bunch of stuff. They're like, oh, this looks interesting. I'm gonna check that one out. Oh, I'm gonna check that one out. You know,
Yeah.
but I don't expect anyone to watch all of it unless they're like, I don't know, there'll be some fans, but mostly we're just getting the library up right now.
We're rocking it. We're doing it. We're
And
figuring it out.
imperfect, modeling imperfect, just
Modeling imperfection.
yes. Going for a strong B, not a B plus, just a B.
Oh man, yeah. I'm like start striving for 85%, not 100. 100 ain't gonna ever happen, and it's okay. Maybe there's rare moments, but even surgeons screw up. That's what I like to say. Uh,
It's all welcome, but please, yes, let go that that, you know, top 20%, 15, 20%.
I'm working on it.
Me too.
Definitely, as we both know, easier said than done, though I think it gets easier
Mhm,
the more that we work on it, like a snowball effect.
mhm.
So and that's what I'm hoping. We just up level and then the challenges get the same. And we're like, yeah, fuck.
I'm hoping that there's the orientation towards the challenges will feel different eventually. I hope.
I
Um,
think one of my goals is to go ahead and I want to befriend the negative thoughts in my head. And I want to look at challenges with more excitement and be like, ooh, it triggered. Look at that. Ooh, it's coming up. And I feel like I've had those moments and it's almost like I forgot. So now I'm like, did I record any of that? Can I remind myself? It'll come back at some point, something will click, something else I'll read will come through. Yeah, I like that goal. Let's have a different relationship with challenges because they're always going to come and they
Mhm,
teach us so many things. Yeah,
mhm,
like breakdown to breakthrough.
mhm, mhm,
Mm.
mhm.
Aw, thank you. I needed this.
Yay, me too.
Mm.
Glad we got to spend some time together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your body's like, be like, can we rest now? Is that what
Yeah,
it's?
you're drooping a little bit more and a little bit. You're right. I'm drooping more.
I was totally guessing, but I wanted to call that out and be like, is that, can I talk about to that for you? It's okay. Yeah.
Here a little celebration of my own from today.
Yeah.
So, and I think it applies to what we've been talking about.
Yeah.
I had somebody who I have known for over a year. It's not like we're close, but I've known her over a year. And we were talking about someone we know in common who really is in a space of pretty extreme chaos and trauma, and it kind of is difficult to talk to and difficult to communicate with.
Yeah.
And I told this person, look, I was in her exact position like a couple of years ago.
Mm.
Yes, so the details of our experience are different, yet the stacking of trauma and the reactivity and the difficulty communicating is extremely familiar to me.
Mm.
And this person who I was talking to looked at me and she's like, I never would have guessed ever that you were in that state that this other woman is in. And I'm like, I completely was in that
Wow.
state just a handful of years ago. And so that felt like a big, for somebody that I have had some consistent interaction with over a year. And now she's able to look at me and go, you, what? Like, because she was calling this other person kind of a lunatic and maybe impossible to communicate with, maybe not even worth her time or effort. And I'm
Yeah.
just like, there's I understand there can come a point where somebody has so much chaos and so much trauma that it's difficult to engage with them at any level, but can we try? Because there is hope. I've been it.
Mm.
Give her a chance.
Oh.
So I was celebrating, like, you didn't know I was totally fucked up. You didn't know.
Oh my God. I've had that. I'm like, well, if you could see, okay, if you could just see where, that's awesome though. I mean, and also it sounds like very like empathetic and being like, hey, I was there and what did you need in that moment? You
Yeah.
needed somebody who is like, even though it's really hard, like I resonate with that, even though it's really hard to be around me sometimes, it's like those are the
Mhm.
moments when I need somebody. And I can try my hardest with communication styles. And most people don't have that. They weren't taught that. Okay. Maybe some parts I got lucky and I stumbled upon stuff and you worked your ass off. I worked my ass off, which we're still doing it.
It's a practicing.
Yeah. That feels so I would like a deep part of my heart just went there and it's like, oh, knowing what it's like to suffer like that. Oh,
The recognition of the progress and that there's possibility of recovery, and
yes.
for someone to not even know that I was in such a like kind of impossible place.
Yeah.
um and yeah, of course it comes back to, God, there's so many people out there who just Yeah. And I mean, even
Mhm.
Sophia, when I was working with her at one point as a coach, she was like, I didn't want you around. You know, you came to some of my events and I was like, shit, she's coming, because I was so erratic and dramatic, and
There was so much going on.
there's so much going on, you know.
Yeah.
So
Oh. That's like, oh, I feel like that hits a lot of spots. That's a lot of beautiful little things right there. Oh, 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 I reckon, yeah. When I see somebody else like walking on eggshells around me, I'm just like, well, here we go again. And maybe it's not as bad as before.
Mhm,
And okay, I understand why,
mhm.
and it makes sense. Yeah, yeah. Mm. Oh, that is. I want to like hell yeah for a celebration of just like look how far you've come.
Yeah.
Look how far you've come. Not only like physically, mentally, emotionally. It's huge.
Yeah. And honestly, I think as you start feeling open to engaging with yourself more and more, particularly the difficult videos, when you feel up to it, you'll see your progress too. You really will. Like, I see your progress, just in the couple of years I've known you.
Mm.
You know, I've really enjoyed your company all along, but it definitely continues to evolve into like, oh, I dig you even more and more, like more, more, more.
I'd say that is so mutual. Oh my God, yes. Even when we're going through hard times, or even I'm just like, I'm so glad we've gone through what we have, and we continue to, and we continue to like bring our shit to the plate, you know?
Yeah. And thank you for choosing to keep engaging.
Mm,
I mean, I, yeah, not everybody wants to continue to engage. I had a clearing conversation this weekend with the person I used to work with. I don't want to say the name, recently.
yeah.
And yeah, she doesn't feel she can trust me again. So, and it
Mm,
honestly, it's really from a foundational misunderstanding. So
that's hard. Yeah. Or I'm assuming. Um,
no, it feels hard, and it doesn't, like, I'm like,
yeah.
you and I have engaged in, have said, hey, this feels this way, and I'd like to feel this way, and we've been able to get there together,
Mm,
and not everybody's can't do that with everybody, and it's okay.
yeah.
I'll, I'll devote my time and energy to the people who want to meet me there, and you want to meet me there, and I want to meet you there, and you know.
That feels like a letting, like impressive. Because that's hard for me. I recognize there's still a lot of like taking somebody else's reaction personally, or feeling like it's rejection, or feeling like it's like recognizing I'm still putting my value outside of myself kind of thing. Um, Whereas I think it's like practicing hearing somebody say no, or not understanding, or not wanting to, or it's like making a judgment, and it's like, okay, this is what it is. It feels like you've come a long way, and that's beautiful the way I feel like you're like, okay, you're like this beautiful, compassionate woman, and it's like an acceptance, and it feels like self-love too. Like, okay, well, I want those who do want to be around me and have conversations. And if things get weird or ugly or whatever, it's like to be able to talk about it, to be able to listen and try to understand the other person. So, oh, that feels clearing. I like how you said clearing. It
Mhm.
really felt clearing. Yeah.
So,
Oh,
how are you feeling? It's been a little over 45 minutes. Do you want to go ahead and wrap up? And
I think so. That was perfect. Thank you. I was looking at the time a little bit, but I felt like we were on a nice little roll there. So, and thank you. Compared to when I first came on, I'm like, it's always worthwhile talking with you.
yay,
So,
that feels so good.
oh, it is. Every time I'm just like, yep, it's worth being here. This is why I continue to do this, even when there's tons of doubt or tons of like shame or I can't do things right or whatever gets in the way. It's
Write that one down so that you remember. You know, next time if you're like resisting wanting to come on with me, you're like, I actually always really like talking to Heather, even though.
Actually, that was one thing today too. I was just like, I felt the resistance of like, no, just cancel, do this. And I'm like, I could just do 30 minutes. That'll be perfect, And then you said time wise, I'm like 45, perfect. Let's just do that. And I had less resistance this time, or less feeding the resistance this time. So
Okay, so we'll definitely stay in a little better touch on Marco Polo than we've been using that tool
hmm
lately. And next week, let's kind of just, how about once you've kind of have a sense of what your week looks like and when you think you've got some space for me, because I know your stuff's getting a little more complicated because you're going to have to do it when you can come all the way here, or we can meet somewhere, or you can be online, so let's just check in
Totally.
next week about what we're doing going forward. How does that sound?
Cool. And I like let's keep up on Marco Polo because I realized I'm like, I didn't send you a reply video. And it's just like, where's Heather's videos? And I'm like, I didn't reply. So I'll send you something fun this week. But all right.
Okay. Do you think I'll
Mm,
see you on Sunday? Do you think it's possible you'll come for the parade? Or you have to decide when we get closer?
I will, but I'm also not wanting to like touch anybody and that feels weird and I don't know who else is coming. So maybe getting a little more of an idea. I do want to show up and whatnot and of
Well,
course
how about
celebrate.
we check in later this week when I have a little better idea?
Yeah,
I really am my intention is to keep it in, so that people can stay distant. Like I know not everybody's in the same place, and so that will be part of the like explanation for what we're doing. We're hanging out and keeping the space. So,
I love it.
yeah.
Oh, yay. That sounds I know. I'm just like you've been doing really amazing stuff with over the past year with having flower walks and all the other goodies. So mm.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Mm. Mm.
Hope the
You're
rest of your
so
day
del
goes a little nicer.
huh?
I hope the rest of your day goes a little nicer.
Thank you. This has been the boost that I needed, and I hope you continue to honor your rest. Like I love that. It sounds so like honoring the feminine and finding out what that is. And oh, I love the road that you're on. I love what you're into. It's so cool. I love that we're like on our own little journeys, but we can totally bring our stuff together. Like yes. Oh, thank you. Thank you for doing you, being exactly who you are. And it's just fucking perfect. I love it.
Thank you
Mm.
for being you. Thank you for being
Mm.
here. Okay.
Okay.
Talk to you soon.